You guys cannot get enough of haunted locations. Lucky for you, there are enough of them spread all over the world. I'm going to tell you about the horrors that have taken place, the hauntings that follow, and all of the reasons why you probably should not visit. These are the top 5 haunted locations you should never visit, part 4. Let's jump in. Coming in at number 5, we have Gibraltar Point Lighthouse in Canada. The lighthouse was built in 1808 to guide ships to Toronto's harbour from what was then a sandy peninsula until it was decommissioned in 1958. The lighthouse is the oldest one left on the Great Lakes and the second oldest in Canada. The lighthouse was there during the Battle of York in 1813 when American ships invaded the town of York, which culminated with the burning of the Parliament buildings. The British retaliated later in the War of 1812 and burned the White House down. During the war, the first lighthouse keeper, J.P. Reidmuller, a German immigrant to Upper Canada, kept watch at Gibraltar Point for enemy ships and friendly vessels returning to a safe harbour. Reidmuller disappeared under mysterious circumstances on January 2, 1815. The story is told that some soldiers were enjoying his homemade beer. Once drunk, they attacked Reidmuller. They then cut him up and buried him in the nearby area. No reason is known for the attack. Although the town around the lighthouse is now gone, the stories still remain, and some visitors to the land have reported some haunted sites. The current lighthouse keeper has told stories of searching for the remains of J.P. Reidmuller that were never found. Those who have visited the lighthouse have heard noises of someone walking around paired with groaning noises. Some suspect the spirit of the first keeper still watches over. Others have seen the light on from a distance even though it's been out of use for decades. Coming in at number 4, we have Yorktown Memorial Hospital in Texas. Originally built in the 1950s and managed by the Felician Sisters of the Roman Catholic Church, the Yorktown Memorial Hospital contains 2 main floors, a basement, 2 wings, a chapel, and an observation tower. The hospital closed in 1986, says current caretaker, after a new facility opened in nearby Curio. From then on, the building operated as a rehab facility, but the state closed it in 1992. Standing outside of the hospital today, it appears to be the definition of haunted. Broken windows lead into a black interior. The door is chained shut. Inside the building, a cool breeze wafts down the dark hallway. Leaves press against dusty windows and wasps crawl along the walls. Rumor has it that hundreds of patients died there due to malpractice. Since its closure, it sat there becoming a more derelict and terrifying place to enter. Naturally, it has acquired a lasting reputation for ghosts. There are stories of patients killed by neglect or surgical mistake, and the ghost of the surgeon who is often held responsible. If you decide to enter the building and make your way to the chapel, you might come across the old surgeon. It is said he appears like a dark shadow with red eyes. If anyone tries to read anything from the Bible within the chapel, he will make screaming noises in an attempt to get you to stop. A passerby also told the story of how they looked through the chain doors at the front of the building and they saw a young man looking back at him. His skin was white and he had a bullet wound in the middle of his head with the leftover dried blood running down his face. He was startled and jumped back when he saw this. On second look, the ghost had disappeared. Everyone who visits has a number of different experiences. It is unknown just how many spirits belong here. There are many unexplained cold spots and others have feelings of dread coming and going while they walk around. The second floor is known to be home to the spirit of the nuns who originally owned the building. For some reason, they have a distaste for men with tattoos. There have been a few stories of these men being scratched or pushed over by spirits. Even with knowing all of this, the hospital has struggled with break-ins, people looking to be unauthorized ghost hunters and looking for souvenirs. If you are looking to venture into the unknown, you can pay $500 for an overnight investigation. In at number 3, we have Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana. The plantation was built in 1796. The house is reportedly built over an Indian burial ground, which is never a good sign. The original owner and architect of the Myrtles Plantation was General David Bradford. He purchased 600 acres of land and built an 8-bedroom home on the property, naming it Laurel Ridge. When David died, his property was passed down to his daughter Sarah and her new husband Clark. Clark wanted to expand the plantation and therefore planted about 650 acres of indigo and cotton. They owned slaves who took care of the land and cared for their children. There is a story told of one girl named Chloe. Clark was having an affair with Chloe against her wishes. She was scared to come forward and tell Sarah as she feared being sent to the fields. One day she was attempting to eavesdrop up on Sarah and Clark when she was found. As punishment, they cut off one of her ears. Chloe wanted revenge for the way she had been treated, so she bakes a birthday cake for the family with oleander. Clark chose not to eat any of the cake, but Sarah and the children did. They got very sick and Sarah and two of the children died, leaving only Clark and his daughter Octavia. The other slaves would not help Chloe escape. Afraid of the wrath her actions may place on them, they hung her from a tree on the property. Since then, there have been sightings of Chloe around the property. She has even been captured in pictures taken there. She is usually seen in a reflection of one of the windows. It is clear to see when the apparition is Chloe due to her missing ear. These are not the only deaths that occurred at the plantation. Once Clark only had his daughter, he moved and sold off the property. One of the unfortunate people to call it home was William Winters. William was shot on the porch. He crawled back into his home and attempted to crawl up the stairs, but only made it to the 7th step. It is said if you take a picture of the stairs, you can still see the blood stains left over from his attack. If you are in a different room, you may also hear a dragging noise coming from the front entryway. These are just the ghosts who we know of. If the house is built on an Indian burial ground, we can't be sure just how haunted the place is or who exactly haunts it. In at number 2, we have House of the Seven Gables, Salem. The House of Seven Gables was built in 1668 by a Salem sea captain and merchant named John Turner. 3 generations of the Turner family lived in the seaside mansion before it was sold to Captain Samuel Ingersoll in 1782. An active captain during the Great Age of Sail, Ingersoll died at sea, leaving the property to his daughter Susanna, cousin of famed author Nathaniel Hawthorne. The house is known for being one of the key locations during the Salem witch trials. In 1692, the first woman was accused of witchcraft. Her name was Sarah Good. It was said that just before her death, she cursed the priest, saying, "I am no more a witch than you are a wizard, and if you take my life, God will give you blood to drink." Some say that this cursed not only the priest, but the land. Her story was recently turned into a 3-part trilogy, Fear Street, where her last name was changed to Fear. Since then, it was believed that the area was cursed and hauntings continued to plague the town. Of course, Sarah was not the only woman who had this horrible fate. 30 other women were found guilty of witchcraft and others suffered while being accused. They even locked away a 5-year-old girl, Sarah's daughter, for 6 months while deciding if she was guilty. There is no doubt that the land has known suffering and many tortured souls died here. There have been reports of disembodied voices around the house. One man reported that during his visit to the house he felt the presence of a woman. She got closer to him and he heard a whisper of shh in his ear. There's also been many reports of people seeing figures in the distance around the property. If you attempt to approach these figures, they will disappear, meaning you can never get close to them. The house is now a museum for the witch trials as well as the life of Nathaniel Hawthorne. They offer ghost tours so you can learn more about the horrors that happened here. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Rolling Hills Asylum in New York. Rolling Hills Asylum was actually a poorhouse for those in need. Often resembling a reformatory, a poorhouse often housed orphan children, families, destitutes, elderly, physically handicapped, mentally unstable, morally corrupt, and even criminals. These institutions were situated on the grounds of a poor farm on which able-bodied residents were required to work. Such farms were common in the United States in the 19th and early 20th centuries. These sites were often run by the local government. On December 4, 1826, the Genesee County Board of Supervisors met in Bethany for the purpose of establishing a county poorhouse. A brick building, originally a stagecoach tavern, was expanded to create the housing. A statement was put out to the community outlining who was eligible. Anyone seen as destitute was ordered to move to the poorhouse. This meant mixing the elderly and homeless families with the criminally insane. They invited lunatics and drunkards to live and work on the farm. It was a self-sufficient community and the cost of living for each resident was very low. Residents were referred to as inmates no matter why they were there. Everyone was viewed as the same once there. The able-bodied would build, raise animals, or try to sell produce to the local communities. As they grew, they opened a bakery and wood shop, which created and sold coffins. The county would bury those who had no family, and records indicate there was once a cemetery located on the property, but the particulars are almost non-existent. These people were neglected and forgotten by society. It's unknown how many people died here, but it is believed to be a few thousand. They were often buried without any record of who they were. As they were self-sufficient, the government hardly interfered with their affairs, so many died of illness, old age, and other deaths were from unknown causes. There are not many stories from those who lived here, so the particulars of day-to-day life is unknown. One can only imagine the horrors that could have occurred from putting all of the criminally insane with the unfortunate orphans, widows, and unwed mothers. Due to all of this, it is seen as one of the most haunted locations in the area. There are a few known stories of the spirits who still roam the land. hand. One tragic story is of a boy named Roy. He suffered with gigantism, a physical deformity that left him with a protruding facial feature, large hands and feet, and a height of over 7 feet. Roy was the son of a prominent banker, and his physical appearance was an embarrassment to his family. At age 12, Roy was dropped at the Genesee County home and was left there until his death at age 62. Roy liked opera music and was generally kind. There have been reports of his large shadow being seen around the grounds, particularly moving around the main building. It is believed he likes to watch through the windows of what is going on with the area today. Not all spirits who live here are as friendly as Roy. There was once a nurse believed to be called Emmy, who was believed to have performed satanic rituals, inviting not only new spirits to roam the land but also keep any that tried to leave attached to it. She herself was said to be cruel and wicked. It is said when she is in your presence you will feel a weight on your chest and an uneasy feeling. We'll never know just how many spirits are stuck here or the horrors they might have faced. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with that list? What haunted location scares you the most? Leave us your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. In fact, we can do part 5. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 scary demon recordings you should never listen to, part 3. John Starr said, 2 was the scariest scream I've ever heard in my life. Imagine being awake when that happened. This gives me chills. I completely agree. That would freak me the fuck out. That'd be terrifying. I just don't want to experience scary shit. I'm already scared. I'm always scared. Philly Putty Design said the voicemail recording was not Richard Ramirez, but actually the original Night Stalker, also known as the Golden State Killer, Joseph D'Angelo. Super creepy regardless. Well, that's good to know. I thought it was Richard Ramirez, but good to know. It is just another psychotic killer. Too many. Irving Maldonado said, I really like the way you narrate. Funny as f***. Keep up the good work. Good times. I mean, I don't think anyone's laughing during this list, but thank you. I like the way I narrate too. I like me. Whatever. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, and until next time, I'll see you later.